G'day and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this video series on making electricity from wood. In this episode I'm going to fabricate the fire tube. Been waiting a long time for this. This really is the heart of the gasifier. So just a few days ago I went and got some more flat bar, so we got plenty to get started. So I'm just going to use this template here just to mark out the stud pattern. So I've got these fantastic little strong magnets. So I'm just going to whack them on just to hold it in place. We'll mark the holes. This flange is a bit of a special one. In this corner down here, that's the bit for the, what's it called, the ignition port. So this internal radius here is turning out to be a bit of a hassle. I initially started cutting it with a jigsaw. But, I'll show you this. The problem I got with my jigsaw, and I really should look at getting a new one. There's too much movement in the blade, so it makes it near impossible to cut to the line. Plus, with this being 5mm steel, it's slow going, so I had a go at it with my angle grinder using abrasive cutting discs. So these are 100mm diameter by 1mm thick, and the diameter of this hole is about 155mm. So you can see here, cutting that with a 100mm disc. Even though I'm kind of doing a series of plunge cuts, even though I angle it back, that makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, it's pretty difficult going, and as you get further down, it really rips these discs up. I mean, in no time, you end up with this. So I think I'm more than halfway through. So I thought, well, what I might actually try and do now is go back to the jigsaw and see if I can finish it off with the jigsaw. Oh man, if only I had a plasma cutter, this would be a breeze, I'll tell you. Well, how about that? That actually wasn't too bad. So maybe this is the way to do it. Do the first half of the cut with a cutting disc. And as you get deeper and it gets more and more difficult with a cutting disc, then finish off the last half with a jigsaw. It's either that or get a plasma cutter. One day. Well, hey! I finally get to test this new tooling out properly. You'll see on the fire tube here I have allowed for far more bends. There'll be a bend at every 15 mil. That's because the fire tube will only have a diameter of 250 mil. So I want this thing to be as round as possible. Alright, let's set up the depth gauges. I'll just start from the middle. So we're just going to take it easy, don't want to overdo it. Alright, so let's set this up. There we go. So that's the first pass completed. I was quite conservative and quite cautious on the first pass because I didn't want to go too far, because once you go too far it's quite difficult to get it back. So yeah, you can see it's only bent just a tiny little bit, but I'll wind it down a bit more and we'll keep going. So here's what it looks like after a couple more passes. So it's starting to get there. There's a nice even curve, but it's still a long way from a cylindrical shape. So I think I might step things up a little bit, although still remain cautious. So after all that, making this bit of tooling here to get the material being bent away from the jack, I guess, yeah, I didn't bring this down far enough, and yep, look at this, it's hitting the bloody jack. Anyway, we'll keep going. So I'm hoping, as I do the other half, I'm hoping that this thing might just fold enough just to go under this. Fingers crossed. Perfect. It was all planned. I tell lies. Alright, we're definitely getting there. We're getting closer. I wonder, I could almost, force the last bit. I almost could. Whoa. Yeah, that's going to be pretty tight. So I reckon possibly one, at most 2 more passes, and I'd say we're there. So flip the thing around, make sure. After every pass I flip the thing around just to make sure that it doesn't turn up they'll turn out in a slight conical shape. So if I'm out a little bit by flipping the thing around, hopefully that should prevent that from happening. Alright, that's it. I'm actually very pleased with how this turned out. If you have a look at that, that's not a bad cylinder. It's a fairly even circle, considering I've got a bit of overlap, a bit of waste at each end. So I was after 250 mil, so it's at 280 mil. I didn't want to end up going under 250 mil. I'd rather go just slightly bigger and then basically just press it together, squeeze it together. And I've got to say, it actually, it almost looks like it's been rolled. It's not till you sort of look at it closely that you can see it's been folded on a press brake. So now we just got to squeeze it together, slip the flange on, and yeah, this might just work. Whoa. Oh, maybe I should fold it a little bit more. I think this is going to be a bit of a stretch. Oh man. That's it. That's about as far as that's going to go. And it's just not enough. Mate, so bloody close. Surely I can give it just a bit more. Surely. Come on, just a little bit more. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, come on, baby. Oh, my goodness. Should probably put some safety specs on.
Okay.
Oh, there's a lot of tension here. Alright, let's try that. How are we going with that? Oh man, that is so close. So bloody close. Look at that. I've got to get past that. Oh man, come on, surely. Come on. Alright, let's try that again. We'll grab the 15-inch. If in doubt, go for brute force. Oh, man. I don't like this. Tell you what, that's almost in. I don't think that's going to work. I really want it to, but I just, come on. Man, I think I'm pushing my luck here. Seriously. Okay. Alright. Back in the press brake. You know what? On second thoughts, I'm just going to give it. I'm going to give it just a little bit more. Oh, one more. Oh, that's it. That's as far as it's going to go, I'll tell you what. Let's watch your fingers. Although that's sticking out a bit, but we can always... Oh, that's it. I think we've got it, eh? I think we got it. I think we've got it. we got it. I've trimmed off the excess sheet metal at both ends. I've just allowed for a bit of an overlap, sort of 5-6 mil or so. I much prefer that than having the two ends meet and then butt weld it. I think, yeah, having it overlapping slightly, it's just a little bit safer, I feel. So here we go. There we go. Actually, that wasn't too bad at all. How about that? It's getting tight. Well, I think that worked out quite well actually. You can see it's pretty much a perfect cylindrical shape now. Yeah, that means we're now right to weld the bottom plate on. So I've just got to center it and I'll tack it on. Then we can grind these welds off and move this one down. Rightio, so essentially speaking, that's a fire tube. Basically just a cylinder with an upper flange, which is for the lid, and a mid flange, which is where this thing sits in the gasifier. And then at the very bottom is, let's call it the base plate. That's got a bit of a hole pattern. So bolted to the inside of that will be the restriction, and then bolted to the underside of this will be the reduction tube. I haven't fabricated those yet. I haven't yet got the material to do so. I'm yet to find somebody who's willing to sell me stainless steel in cut quantities. I guess also worth mentioning is where you got the joint in this cylinder. I ended up welding it on the outside as well as on the inside, and that's purely just for looks. I think it looks a lot neater rather than having that joint, or that sort of open joint, if you want to call it that. There's still a fair bit more work that needs to be that is yet to be done on this fire tube. There's things like, I mean, apart from the restriction and the reduction, there's also a bit of sheet stainless steel to go down the bottom. There's still some pipe fittings to be welded to this. I haven't got those yet. For example, for the ignition port, I'm going to be making some minor changes to that. So here you can see how this thing sits on the outer body with the strut pattern and the flange. So yeah, I think it sits there very nicely. I'm not going to bother bolting this down just yet or sealant or anything like that, because there's still plenty of work to be done here. Also, I haven't bothered painting this part of the cylinder because that will eventually be insulated, so there's no point in painting it. So here, if you look down through the fire tube, it just gives you a bit of a different view. So down there you can see the base plate. So yeah, basically this will be the business end of the gasifier. Well, that's pretty much it for this episode. Once I get the other material and bits, I'll be able to continue with this fire tube. Yes, I think just to wrap this up, I might just do the lid. So yeah, well, cheers, and thanks for watching.